All right, it is Sunday, and because I work Sunday to Thursday, Sunday is my test review day. So I want to go through each of the tests that I've been working on over the last couple weeks, check in on results, see if any of them can be concluded, which means I can figure out what I learned from them, and then also plan new tests and make sure that I have space in my schedule to actually work on them in the upcoming week. But before we do that, I just want to say if you've been with me for these videos and you would like to help shape the direction that they go in, there is a Google form down below in the description that I would really appreciate hearing from you, just to tell me what's working, what's not working, and that will help me make some decisions about how to shape these. Simple things like how long to make them, what to talk about, what to sort of like skip, stuff like that. Anything about the format that's not working for you, like let me know. And that Google form, you can just be anonymous and just like blah, 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 right? Give me some thoughts. And I think it's good for me from the standpoint of what I talked about on the first video to keep doing them, which is about helping me tell the story that I want to be a part of for the week and help keep me on track. If I have to articulate my rationale and things to you, then I'm going to have a much better time finding a plan and staying in that plan as I go throughout the week. So it's beneficial for me, and I don't want to be annoying by just filling your feed with a bunch of stuff that you don't want to see. So that's what that's all about. Please go look at the Google form link. It's like 3 questions or something like that, and let me know what I need to know. Thank you. All right, to start us out for today, I'm going to show you a picture of my Kanban board. And this Kanban board just has all of my tests, and you can see that each of them has a number, each of them has a label or name, and then each of them is in a particular stage of completion. So either they're an option that I can choose from, I'm doing them, as in they're in progress, or I'm waiting on the results, and I'm just kind of letting things settle. So we're done, right? If they're done, they're done. So I'm going to go through each of these one by one and just tell you what I learned. So I'm going to start out with number 107, which was an entry-level workshop offer that I sent by email. And I already went over this with you in another video, but I'll just go through it again quickly here. The basic idea was I had an entry-level workshop offer that I was making by email. And the idea is eventually I want to be selling larger workshops, but let's start with the basics. Let's have something like a taster that people can try. And like specifically I was imagining eventually it'd be like a $1,000 taster. You'd bring us in, we'd talk to your teams, we'd do some really good work, you'd get a really great experience, and then you'd be like, okay, I'm comfortable working with these folks. I know what it's like. It's worth dedicating some budget to this work together. And then we do like a larger workshop, like a $10,000 workshop or something like that over a couple days. Something to get a strategy outcome, like an alignment problem figured out, or a like a sense-making situation like resolved, like what's happening here, this existential issue that we're working on, what are we going to do about it, that kind of thing. But we'd have to like ladder our way up to that, and it's really hard to go from 0 to 60, and it takes a really long time, like 6+ months to sell one deal. So the entry-level starter is a way to sort of maybe speed that up a little bit and also lower the risk for the customer. At least that was the idea. So the idea is that this kind of thing would get me in the door, and also it wouldn't be free, because a lot of proposal making and back and forth conversation is just free labor. And I love you all so much, and I enjoy spending time with you, but I need to do less free labor. So that's on my mind. So here was the basic plan. I was going to write some email copy. I was going to send it to my list. I was going to make a call to action with a very basic Stripe checkout page, and I was going to price it at $199. So pricing wasn't going to be an obstacle. Because again, I was assuming like department level budgets, that kind of thing. And then I would have like a basic intake form that would give me some information to work with when they sign up for it. Okay. I expected that maybe I'd get 2 signups in a week, and I could pre-plan my response a little bit by, if I got a couple responses, I might embed this into an email sequence and like permanentize the offer, like solidify it, make it more operationalized. Let's add some more buzzwords. Just make it part of the standard thing that happens. If too many people responded, I would just increase the price, and if too few people responded, I would just stop because clearly it's not the right offer and it's not worth doing. You've heard me say this before, but I really need to do a better job of watching or like predicting in my expected results the same kinds of metrics that I'm going to be seeing when I'm looking at the actual results. So here, clearly there's a lesson learned here about I need to be thinking about open rates, click rates, signups, things like that, not just signups. So lesson learned there. We had a 43% open rate, so that's 1,100 people. 2% clicked it, so 41 clicks, that's pretty great. And then nobody signed up. So really interesting kind of problem there. It's like, something's not working here. So I took this offer back to Growth Trackers, to Lex Roman, and talked to them a little bit about this. And the advice that I got from Lex was, hey, you should find out why these people clicked but didn't buy. What's going on in their world that made that not an easy yes for them? So I did that. And I found out, as I shared with you in another video, that everyone here is like paying for things out of pocket. Like, I think of the 6 or so people that responded to the survey, everyone's paying out of pocket, and everyone sounds more like a consumer, not a business. Like they are buying it for themselves out of their pocket. And that's not who I'm trying to reach. So big learning there. So I'm just like kind of wrapping this up by pointing at the things I learned. I need, as I said earlier, to predict open and clicks too, not just signups. There was a suggestion to send a second email with a different subject line to the folks who didn't open the offer, and I don't think I did that, but it's good to keep that in mind. Like sometimes people need 2 hits in order to like hear it. Then there was the question, what should I do for the people who clicked? And that's where I planned this whole thing. Is like the big question is like, why aren't you buying? And can I look at the people who clicked and look at them on LinkedIn? Can I figure out if they're buyers? Can I ask them a question about why they didn't buy? And kind of more importantly, like, where are you at with this problem that I'm trying to solve? So long story short, I did a small survey with those people and got the answers that I need, right? I just told you about that. So there was this other question, was like, do I need to like flesh out the offer and make a whole landing page for it? And I'm like, well, no, because this is the wrong offer and for the wrong audience. So no, not going to do that. And should I rerun this experiment as an event? I thought yes, and I'll show you that one shortly. But I ended up using it differently. So interesting. All right, so all things considered, we are done with this. For those of you worried about me desecrating my my thing, I've got layers here, right? So I can just hide all that if I need to. Okay, and one more thing just while we're here, like sometimes it helps me, like David and I have been talking lately. He said there's a difference between purpose and motivation. And something my coach has said too, in a similar way. So I've been paying attention to that. And also, ideally, I want to be having good feelings before, during, and after the experiments that I'm running. This was my first test, so I'm not like worried or indexing too hard on it, but the feelings before were like frustration about the copy. I didn't want to write copy. And then I felt relieved because I got some help with the copy part. Thank you, Tom Kerwin, actually. Big thank you to Tom Kerwin for helping me with that copy problem. We were doing a little swapperino there to help each other on some things. And so that helped me run that experiment. During the experiment, I was panicking, right? Like, what's happening? I don't understand. And it's partially because I didn't understand the actual results versus my expected ones. So that was part of it. But the other part of it was just like nobody was buying. So I must be a failure, right? So that's the classic me. And then after, I'm just like super satisfied with what I learned about it, like super happy. So I'm good with that. And then here is some kind of like little criteria thing. Is it a way to make money? Does this test help me make money? Do I enjoy the test? Is it on mission for me? Which we could talk about what that means at some point, but not today. And is it quick? Am I going to get response and feedback quick? Wardley principle: fast, inexpensive, restrained, and elegant, right? So is this a fast thing that I can run for cheap, that is only touching the minimum things, like not building landing pages and stuff like that? And does it solve the problem elegantly? I don't know if I have that part of it down, but it's a start. So, okay. Next test. All right, number 108. This is rewrite prep for Olly. Olly works at Senja, Senja. I think it's senja.io. Yes, senja.io. And they do great stuff with testimonials. I learned about them through Growth Trackers, and I paid Ollie for a critique for my landing page, and so he went through and gave me a bunch of really like solid like ideas, and as a result I started embedding things like these testimonials from people who've talked about Wardley mapping and talked about working with me with Wardley mapping and things like that. So that's what Senja is, but Ollie works at Senja, and he used to do this thing called the landing page roast, and I paid him recently for a landing page copy rewrite, which builds on that roast idea. And basically, since I know he's really busy with Senja right now, I want to see if he'll still do that work, see if he'll still do the rewrite. And if he will, then I want to prep things a little bit and be ready for him and do what I can to make his job easy. So that was one part, making some changes to the landing page. Like before, ooh, it was a rough time. Let me see if I can. I'll give you a quick before and after here. Okay, so before, this is what the page looked like. Complicated. It talks about Wardley mapping, doesn't talk about the pain that it's here to solve or who it's for and all this kind of stuff. And just giving you a quick kind of overview of all the stuff. There's Simon, there's a bunch of actions, there's some testimonial things-ish. More. It's just a lot of stuff. And it's not even sure that it's all relevant. And now, after, this was like some of the work that I did, because I had this big, long, like to-do list of like 50 plus things from the landing page roast. I changed the website to sort of just speak to pain a little bit. Do some very simple things to talk about what Wardley mapping is. One of the critiques I got was that the testimonials that I featured weren't actually testimonials. So I fixed that and used Senja here to make this little widget. And then made some super clear call to actions here. Didn't really change that from the old thing, but then the other thing is this last contact form. So it's like less. There's just less. So that makes the landing page a lot easier to tell whether or not it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, whether or not it's doing its job. And then, of course, when people leave the site, that's where the exit intent pop-up thing happens that I talked about in another video, where then they get on the mailing list, get a learning plan, and stuff like that. So in the briefest of asides, I am using Amplitude to instrument events on the landing page and to make sense of what's happening behind the scenes, what kind of events are occurring on a day-to-day basis. I think I have a before versus after comparison set up because I made the changes that I needed to make on this week. And so it would be interesting to see before versus after performance. So currently I'm showing all the open home events. I'm just going to remove those, and I'm going to extend this to today. And then here are the other events. Consider the book, consider the pip deck, and consider the course. So each of these is kind of like as a function of the open homes, or like as a ratio of those open homes. And if I just like take a naive thing here, like here's 4% consider the course before, and then after it's 5%. So it's small, but it's meaningful. And then, okay, let's see, 53. %, considered the book, and then before, and then a little bit more, about 8% consider the book after. So it might be working because there's been less traffic during these weeks, relatively speaking. So it might be that we've slightly adjusted our calls to action here. But anyway, gratuitous diversion. let's get back to the work that we're up to. So, okay, test 108. I wanted to gather information and make the changes that I need to make and respond to the roast. That was my big, long to-do list from the roast. I just had a lot of stuff to do. So, yeah. And I wanted to fill out the onboarding for that, for the copy rewrite with good information based on doing hard work to learn what I need to learn in order to give him a good chance of success. So, obviously you can pause the video and look at what I wrote here if it's interesting. Like here's the copy rewrite onboarding survey. I won't like pause and do a bunch of exploration here, but you're welcome to read through it if you want. So my plan was just do the items on the to-do list that are blocking him from starting. And this is less of a test and more of a to-do item, but I'm kind of bundling the preparation with the results of the rewrite itself. So my expected results here are that he'll do the work maybe. And then what I would really like to see is a jump in mailing list signups from, let's say 3% or the 2.6% that it is now. So here's the exit intent pop-up, and I have a 2.7% conversion rate, so it's going up. Maybe that's an unexpected result of, I mean, it's very insignificant, but maybe it's part of a simpler landing page. And I'd like to see, because like industry standard, let's say, the estimations for a lead magnet based email sign up like mine should be like 5, 10, 15% at least, and it's only 2.6% here. So high expectations, but I have no idea if we'll get there. I might need to tweak something different about the way that works. So I'm kind of expecting to learn something about that in the process of him doing the rewrite. So we're still waiting on this. We'll see if he decides to do it, and if so, on what time span. Because again, he's busy, but I have like super high trust in him. Not only because he's recommended by Lex, but also he's done like fantastic work with me before already. So I'm super happy about that. And I'm definitely feeling a little impatient, but that's okay because I can just wait. So there we go. So this one's still in kind of hanging out, waiting. We'll let this one simmer and come back to it next week. All right, up next is 113, which is related to the test with Olly and also the test with the other offers I've been making, because it's asking a pretty basic question: who is Wardley mapping for? And that, is rabbit holes upon rabbit holes. Like, what does it do for them? What kind of moment in their life are they experiencing? And why is Wardley mapping useful at that time? How do they kind of go through this long journey through like coming to know about Wardley mapping, coming to understand the problem that Wardley mapping solves that leads them to Wardley mapping, all that fun stuff. And I went over this in the previous video a little bit, but I'm doing it next a little out of order because I think it's useful to just kind of note it and also to talk about what my conclusions were. So basic idea was I would propose some basic personas to people and see if they make sense and see if they speak to the pain that they're having. And so part of this is related to another test, which I'll talk about soon, which is running an event. I ran this event, and part of the event was proposing, is this you? And gauging the reactions. And it's a very squiggly, uncertain, if very falsifiable, but still useful event or a test. And I assumed that I would get it wrong because I've been getting it wrong for 8 years, and that maybe some will say that, hey, that's me. And just to kind of tell you about what actually happened, we had a lot of yeses that the two personas that I proposed felt right. And one was more emphasizing the professional who is trying to be more strategic, and the other is more like a leader who's dealing with a really difficult challenge and needs to bring other people along. So a lot of people said yes. Some people to one or the other. Some people said, hey, both makes sense to me. And then the consultants felt left out, which makes sense to me because I wasn't thinking about them. So I'm concluding that I'm on the right track and this is worth testing further. I can't draw a conclusion from this so much as I think it's a useful signal that I'm sort of on a path that's interesting and worth continuing to pursue. So I fed this information back into the previous test, into the intake form for the landing copy rewrite. So I took what I learned from this and put it to work there so that Olly has a clear idea of who he's writing this for. And because this one wasn't so significant a test, I didn't spend much time on the feeling stuff or whether or not, you know, it matches the things I need it to match. I'm not going to worry about being super rigorous on every single test, but I think generally speaking, I do want to be filling out these things. Just I didn't for this one. So there you have it. Okay, the next test that I'm going to look at is 112, and this one's about the Wardley map roast idea. And I think this one is not going to be completed. I marked the last one as completed off screen, and one thing you may not see me do is in between these, I'm going up and moving them on the Kanban board so they're in the right place and stuff like that. So yeah, you're missing that part stuff in the video. But this was an idea that I had sort of, there was another test that I ran and concluded recently around doing a giveaway for the people who answered the survey about why they didn't buy the entry-level offer. That was another test that I ran and wrapped up. Honestly, I might have not tracked that one super well. Okay, anyways, good to know. And so one person won a Wardley mapping session with me, and they're scheduled, and this is great. I'm excited to do that with them. For the rest, I offered a Wardley map roast, and this is kind of entangled with the event test that I'll share next. I think one of the things I'm going to work on doing is isolating the tests a little bit more, so it's clear what I'm looking at. They're a little too entangled right now, and this is one example of that. Is one set of my expectations is about the roast as a consolation prize for the people who didn't win the giveaway, and another part is the roast as an offer that I make in the event. And yeah, that's too complicated. I need to separate and make things cleaner. So anyway, the idea was, here's this Wardley mapping roast offer, which is basically I will do constructive critique of a Wardley map and give you some, basically it's like asynchronous coaching without having to schedule a call, and it's easier for me to do, and it's probably lower cost for them, and it's just it's an interesting kind of idea that I've seen in a couple spaces. One, I'm stealing it from folks like Olly. I'm stealing it from some other folks who do in the growth trackers community. They talk about what they're doing with there's someone there named Charles who's doing UX roasts and things or portfolio roasts for UX designers, things like that. Apparently they're all calling it something different, and that's fine. I'm trying to figure out what to call this, but as an offer, I found it compelling because it was a good way to lower the stress in my life of having to be attending calls all the time, while also doing some interesting work and genuinely helping people, and sometimes getting it to be a public version of things. I think I'll do a big discount if people will let me do it publicly, publish the video, things like that. Anyways, so they get something, and I get to test a new offer, even if they didn't win the giveaway. And what I'll do is I'll pick a winner, which I did. I'll offer this as a consolation prize. You have to take me up on it within this amount of time. And here's the questions that I'll ask. I'll do it free if you're willing to share it publicly, and maybe $20. I think I ended up charging $20. If they would need it to be private, just for this first round of tests. It'll be fine, interesting. Okay, and then this is the third thing, I'll also make it a call to action in the event that I was running, which again, we'll talk about soon. My assumption is that I'll only be offering it to 3 people. It ended up being the case that I ended up offering it to all 6 who responded. So here's my email. I sent it out to the 6 people who participated in the giveaway, and here we are. Here's the offer. Would you like to try it for free? And then what actually happened in reality, besides this message, I was having conversations with people, with 3 of these 6 people already about the Wardley mapping roast thing. And I was like, hey, I'll do it free if you want to make it public, or I'll charge $20 if you need it to be private. So coming back here, I offered it to 6, not 3, which is good. And tentatively, I have 2 takers, although only 1 has paid so far, and that's cool. And the other hasn't responded, but indicated interest. And then the other thing that I did in the event was I asked for interest, and I told them to sign up at this link if they want to tell me that they're interested in the offer. So, Wardley Map Roast. Cool. Here we are. Reports. So we've got 8 subscribers there. So 8 people are interested from the event, I think, which is good. It's a small start, but it's a good start. And as I build some momentum with these first 3 folks who try it out with me, it'll either get easier to offer and demonstrate the value, or it'll get harder. And if it gets harder and I'm not interested in solving those problems, then I'll probably kill this offer next. But one thing that's a fair question is like, how does this fit into my overall set of offerings? And I think the answer is it's a way to stay in touch with consumer potential purchasers who may end up in department level purchase situations. So a good way to keep the relationship and also demonstrate expertise and things like that. So I think it's a good way of maintaining relationships and building trust with people while actually giving them value. So that's nice. This one's still ongoing. I'm still waiting. Oh yeah, so 8 indicated interest. Well, I guess actually this one's done because I got results, and I don't really need to wait much longer for these results, and I can do another test. So I'm going to mark this one complete. What did I learn? Honestly, keep going. And this one could eventually lead to money. It's leading to a small amount of money now. I'm finding myself enjoying it a lot, and it's quick. And I think it is related to the mission, although it takes a little longer to get there. That's fine. Before, I was feeling anticipation. During, I was definitely feeling that learning feeling. Now I'm kind of excited because I'm going to have to do one today for the person who already paid for one. And that will be interesting. So actually, that's a good point. I need to make a test for doing the roasts. So I'm adding that to my list of tests I need to make. Cool. And I can mark this one done. Neat. All right, and finally we get to talk about the event that I ran last week. And originally my intent was to run this event, pitch the starter offer, the entry-level offer for workshops, which we talked about earlier. And as we discussed, that became obsolete, and so the test kind of had to pivot in the middle. And I ended up offering the Wardley mapping roast instead of the starter. So I'll just update that here. Yep. And it still kind of fulfills the same purpose, it's to remind people what it's like to work with me, and maybe get a few conversions and get us kind of moving here. And instead of working on pitching the starter as being team coded, I'm just tackling a different problem, which is pitch the Wardley mapping roast, and see if there's interest. My expected results for the event was that because it was scheduled super last minute, I expected 20 people to attend. I expected 5 people to actually click on the offer. I'm just going to make that more clear. And then I was expecting 0 people to purchase because I am pessimistic about the offer originally. And I'm kind of again, using the old offer prediction against the new offer problem or question. I don't know. It's weird. But okay. And again, I had this issue where what metrics I predicted and the expected results were different than what I actually was looking at when the actual results. Whatever. Yeah, and I already in a previous video mentioned that. So, but we're on the test review video, so I'm assuming you'll be patient with me going over it again. Also, I have new data. So If I go back through the original campaign, I think 1,200 people opened the email, 126 clicked, but that ended up being much more. So here's my email that I sent advertising the event. Okay, so we've got updated numbers here. So it looks like it wasn't 1217 opens. It was, I have to undo all this. Okay, so it was in fact 2552 opened. How many of you clicked? Ah, there we go. 145 clicked. And I did have some follow-up campaigns where I mentioned this in the signature as well, but I'm just not going to think about those. I did have 132, I think it was, register, something like that. It was like 130, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting this perfect. And then I saw 45 different people, different users, show up at some point during the call. So this isn't counting like beginning to end folks. I think it was probably closer to 30 who were there from beginning to end. But 45 dipped in and out. And then what about the offer that I made? Okay, and that's where we kind of reference that other offer that I made about the Wardley map roast, which we looked at earlier. So we had 20 people click, which is great. That's more than I thought. So we had 5 people. I predicted 5 people clicking, and in fact, there were 20 that clicked. And ultimately, I've had, in resulting conversations, 1 person purchase, which is super good because I predicted 0 people would purchase. Awesome. All right. And reflecting on that, what did I learn? So first of all, if I do an event and it's something that people want, short notice is not a big deal. Some of you will probably complain about not being able to attend live because I didn't give you a chance to attend. I think that's a fair complaint. And also, I'm stuck in this world where I'm like, I have to plan everything out perfectly and do it well in advance. I'm just not there yet in terms of knowing what I'm offering and what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to be comfortable with the short-term events as long as there's a recording, right? Because I was able to then follow up for a bunch of these folks with that recording and make that offer again to push them towards the list. And that's why I got so many clicks, I think. Not because they clicked on the call, but because they clicked in response to the email follow-up. What else did I learn? I think this also means that people are hungry for events again. And if they're not hungry for events, at least they're hungry for content. I'm just curious about what that means for me. I don't need to know yet, but it's good to notice that people are hungry for that stuff. And the other thing I'm noticing is that, yeah, I definitely performed way better than I thought I would in terms of funneling people into an offer. But I'm not sure the offer like really resonated. Yes, I'm getting some traction, and I'll kind of like weigh this signal against that signal, but I don't think a lot of people were like super excited about it. So it might be about my presentation, not the offer itself, because I am getting some attention on it, but it just means that maybe there's more work here to do. If it's valuable, then we'll do more work to make it more valuable, and then we'll do more work to set up landing pages and show testimonials and all that kind of stuff, right? But we can't jump to there because we don't know if it's going to be useful to people. Okay, and in retrospect, this was definitely about enjoyment, and it was definitely quick. So that's great. I'm really happy about that, and it's definitely on mission for me. Not so much the money, because it was a free event, and I didn't really expect it to result in any sort of money coming in. Before the event, I was overwhelmed and excited. During the event, I was excited. After, I just felt happy about it. I really enjoyed it, and people seemed to enjoy it too. And I felt all this energy and momentum. Happy and energized. So that's nice. That's good for me. I need that. Okay, and with that, the event is done. Excellent. And then the last test we're going to go over in our review today is the vlogging test. So the videos that I've been making for you over the last little more than a week. Again, I would super, super, super appreciate if you could click the link in the description to open the form and give me feedback on these videos if you've been watching them. If you would like to be part of shaping what I do going forward. I am going to hold open this test until I get the feedback from you, but I am going to sort of start working ahead to share what I've learned here. So just because we're doing test review, this is what I'm doing. Okay. All right. What was the action? The idea was to do a daily vlog for about a week and then see kind of what the results were from that. Why does it make sense? I think better. I am because I think better because I'm having to articulate my rationale to the screen, to you hypothetically if you're watching. I also know that this means I'm more top of mind for you. So when you encounter the problems that I can help you with, you might come talk to me, and I love that, and you know that I love that. So here we are. And the other thing that I'm finding interesting is like it's also a great way to separate out the people who are like my diehard fans, because I made a whole separate interest list in my mailing list to communicate with those fans. So I've been sending them the emails when I publish videos and things like that. And I don't know if sending the emails is important or not, because I think people will just subscribe to me on YouTube and then find me that way. But we'll see. But anyway, so it's really useful for finding the people who really care about what I'm doing. And I'm also like noticing that there are people who are working in the Wardley mapping space who are finding it helpful to reflect on their own experiences trying to build things in Wardley mapping world for people who are doing Wardley mapping. So that's great. I like that. That feedback loop. Creators helping creators. That's cool. I like that. Okay, so what was the plan? The plan was vlog daily, publish to YouTube, and then send to the mailing list for the people who are on my Bend interest list. Did all that. Great. And then eval in a week and send a follow-up email to everyone. Oh, I haven't thought very much about what I'm going to do with that. So that email is going to be not just the interest list, but everyone. Because if it ends up being a really good experience for folks, then I need to like find a way to connect that back to the main list so more people can decide whether or not they are interested in learning about that stuff. So I need to like close that loop a little bit. Okay. Expected results, 10 views per video, and maybe 10 folks would sign up to be interested in getting those videos. I have news about that. Okay, let's start with how many people were interested and signed up on ConvertKit for updates from Ben. I expected 10, and I got 35, and that's pretty neat. Awesome. Okay, and then let's talk about views. So here's all the videos that I posted during that period, and if I just grab a calculator real quick, day 1 was down here at the bottom, was 204, and then day 2 was 106. And then I published the Wardley Mapping Basics recording, which got 126 views, but I'm not counting that in the set of averages here. So, and then day 3 got 89 views, day 4 got 106 views, and day 5 got 99 views. Awesome. Okay, so 604 views across 5 videos. That's an average of 121 views per video. Sweet. So if we come over here, that's 121 views per video. So that's really interesting. All right. And then coming back over to my expected results, do I feel good? Do I feel inspired? That's a little less falsifiable, but I think undoubtedly the answer is yes. I feel good about them. I wasn't going to make a video today about this test review, but I'm making it, and I'm feeling good while making it. I'm feeling energized. I love that you're going to see this, and some of you will even watch it and like comment on it and things like that. That means a lot to me when you do that. Not just because I like attention, which is only partially true, but because I know that you're thinking as I'm thinking, and we're thinking together, even though we're separate across space and time. So that's really cool. Okay, what am I going to learn from this? Well, let me just fill out the bottom here. Feelings before, anticipation and hope. During, I was definitely getting energy. And I saw the good results, and it was like a feedback loop that was encouraging. So I was feeling energized, I was feeling encouraged, and after I'm proud of this little experiment. I'm really happy about it, and also I want to do more because I get energy from it, for sure. Okay, and let's see, what do we learn from this on the whole? So the first thing, sort of related to the event, is that people are hungry for content. One thing I might want to check is, like, do the views actually mean that people want to watch this kind of stuff? So maybe I should check watch time. Let's just look at day 5, because why not? Maybe it's the case that day 5 is or isn't representative. Day 5's video was, what was it? Yeah, we're like 30 plus minutes, about 100 views, and 11, 12 hours of watch time. So if you like want to like do an interesting thing here, like 105 views times 30 minutes and divide by 60 to get hours. If everyone was watching the video all the way through, you would expect 52 and a half hours of watch time. But you're only seeing 11.6 hours of watch time. So 11.6 divided by 52.5. So like 22% of people are actually watching the whole thing. That's a rough estimate, probably wrong. I need to look at the analytics to know if that's even right, but that's cool. That's really cool. So anyways, I think that still means that there's signal here. So yes, people are hungry for content. So I should maybe continue making it, especially if it's fun for me. What else can we learn from this? The other thing is that there have been more comments, people talking to me, and that's good because I miss you. And the other thing is it's just useful to make sure that I'm top of mind for people when they need me. Sometimes you forget that people exist, and so this is a way of helping you not forget that I exist. So we've got some of these comments are me responding, so it's probably just safe to take all these and divide by 2. So 4 people, 1 person, probably 2 people. On these videos, people are talking and responding, and some of them are emailing me too. So that's just really encouraging. So content equal contact. That's cool. I like that. And then I think just generally I'm gonna do more. Do more. I don't know what kind of more, but today is an example of some kind of more, and we'll see what happens. I think generally I'm going to follow the energy and the feedback. So again, in the description, there's a link to the feedback form for you, if you want to be involved in helping shape the future direction of these kinds of videos. Cool. So that was my test review. This video is already a little bit too long, so I'm going to just go ahead and end it there. I do have some work ahead of me to write some new tests, one at least for the Wardley mapping roast offer and what that is going to look like as I perform it for people. And there are at least a couple others that I need to think about. That requires a lot of thinking time, and I don't really feel like having to talk to a camera while I do that. So I'm just going to end the video there, and we might do more videos on those tests that I make throughout the week. All right. Again, your feedback is welcome in the link in the description. Would really appreciate it from you. Thank you for being here. As always, no expectations, but I certainly do appreciate that you're here. All right, take care, folks, and have a lovely beginning to your week.